All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. When I was about to stand now, someone told me I have 5 minutes. I'm guessing because she's very hungry. But it's my pleasure this afternoon to bring the event to a close with the closing remarks. And where I'd like to start from really is to congratulate every graduate today. Can we please put our hands together? For the BLEP July 2025, can we put our hands together for all of our amazing graduates? We're so happy that you trusted us with your learning journey and that you made it through to the end. You know, programs like this, typically completion rates are very, awkward. Sometimes you start a program like this and you start with about 100 people, and by the time you're wrapping up, maybe about 40 people are remaining in the class because life has happened. So you know that we're obviously very strategic in Hardy by starting with personal effectiveness to guilt trip you to know that if you don't finish this program, it means that your personal effectiveness is in question. So I'm really glad. Can we put our hands together again for ourselves? I mean, it takes courage to finish. Everybody can start, but it takes courage to finish. You understand? It takes courage to continue when life hits you. You know what? Is it Muhammad Ali or is it Mike Tyson that said everybody has a plan until you get the first punch in your mouth? Then you realize that that plan might not quite be a plan. And I'm really proud of this particular platform. Hardy Business School means a lot to me and to all of us. I'd particularly like to thank our partners who have come to, support us. I'd like to thank the CC Hub team and, of course, the MasterCard Foundation. Thank you so much for all of your support. You wouldn't know what your support did to us. It was the time when you're on a drip now. When you start a business, especially in the world of startups, you will hear, what's your run rate? How much time do you have left before you die? That's almost like what they're trying to say, that, do you still have a few, are you on life support? We had entered life support. We had now sustained life support for about 6 months, almost going to 1 year. My family members were beginning to ask me, are you sure this vision is... And that was when your support came. I want to really appreciate you guys, and I'd like us to please thank them. There are many things that we start, and sometimes we just need the gentle push to get to the next level. It might not have looked like a lot for you guys, but it was significant, and it was the encouragement that made all of this possible. I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank our facilitators in the room, GT. GT facilitated the training for my company. Maybe, was it 2019? That must have been before COVID. He was a very young man then. He's still a young man. I really want to appreciate you. He's a man of many, parts. He's a very deep person. I mean, just give him the mic, and when he starts to talk, you know that he begins to, spew a lot of wisdom. Thank you so much for being a part of this. You took the course on design. He is the guy for that course. Thank you so much. I'd also like to thank our keynote speaker, Bode Abifari, for supporting us and, just pouring out this afternoon. So I didn't used to like school growing up. I didn't like school. How many of you are like me? Just tell the truth. I didn't quite like school. School wasn't really my thing, And the reason why school wasn't my thing was there was a lot of abstraction with going through courses. There was a lot of, theories. How are we going to use the YDX to eat or to make money? And I'm still asking that question, by the way. I'm still asking that question, but I'm a lot wiser now. Back in the day, for me, it was more around how do we translate, theoretical knowledge to practical use case. And that's the foundation of Hardy Business School. That is the foundation. That is, for me, the ethos of how we should think about society. The problem with Africa today is not that we're not studious. The problem is that we lack the translation of what we crack our brains to learn and how we impact society. You hear that Nigerians are one of the most educated migrants in the United States, by far. And it is not a foreign thing. Even locally here, we threaten ourselves with degrees. You go to LinkedIn, you see someone with 5, 6 prefix before you get to the name. You know, when you're looking at the prefix and you can no longer see the name because the prefix is an endless prefix. We study hard, but translation is so important. How do we impact society with the things that we've learned? It is not how much you know, it's how much impact you can have. So the challenge for me as I round off this particular, cohort is to say what we attempted to do with the Business Leadership Executive Program is to inspire and engage leaders to go out and build. To go out and build. The concept of leadership is that you are driving towards a goal and you have been able to galvanize people to follow you on that journey. For me, we would have failed if everything you've learned here is to continue on the same path of just playing a small part in that big picture. You have something to do within the ecosystem that is significant. We're not saying that everyone has to go and start an enterprise, but they said something about being entrepreneurial. Being entrepreneurial is what truly makes the world move forward. The things that we benefit today, whether it's when you buy a ticket and you can fly 7 hours from here to the UK or wherever, or you can sit on a very decent chair, or we're in this room and we're not finding ourselves because there's air conditioning, is because someone was entrepreneurial. And guess what the goal of enterprise really is? The goal of enterprise is really to make things easy. So if you ever thought about starting a business and your goal is to make things easier and more comfortable for people, then you're on the right path. If you work hard at it enough, you will make a lot of money and you will impact society. And Africa needs more entrepreneurs. There is a strong nexus between our struggles in Africa and enterprise. People don't look at it. People think it's just political. But the reality is that politics and business are very intertwined. I was reading in the news, and I think I was watching a video recently. Someone was talking about the recent ban of, share butter and all of that, or share seeds. And how that immediately after that ban happened, the next thing you see, we got an announcement that someone had built a 30,000-ton processing factory somewhere. Now, the reality is that announcement, can I tell you that it was not happenstance? It was not by mistake. There was a potential collaboration between that policy announcement and the investment that you saw. So the reality is that if we're going to lift Africa out of poverty, if we're going to get Africa to a point where we can all be super proud of our passports, super proud of being here, we have to go out and impact society with enterprises that adds value. That is the goal. Business Leadership Executive Program is to get you out there to say wherever you are, whether you are in the context of an employment or you are a business owner, that you are looking at your business as a vehicle for good, a vehicle for change, a vehicle to make impact across, the continent. And I keep mentioning the continent because, guys, there's no reason to think local. The world is too interconnected right now for your vision to be local. It can start from a local point, but you must start to think, how far can I drive this? You'll be shocked that some people have found a lot more growth in attempting and daring to go international than some of their peers staying local. So the issue is not what the environment can give you. The issue is how much can you dream? How much can you see? And I'll tell you a very quick story as I wrap up. I started my career in consulting, and that was the best thing that happened to me. That was a second degree for me. And I only spent just about 2 years in management consulting. That journey really gave me an opportunity to understand how businesses work, how businesses function. You understood the back workings of growing a business. But fast forward, I was supposed to be doing something in engineering because I studied engineering and I wanted to work in the oil and gas industry. But you see that vision, eh? Somehow, the vision was, like she said, you are thinking that this is it. And then the vision is just dodging you. You went for training, safety training. You went for this and that, and somehow they just said no. But I knew that for me, a no was not a never. A no means follow another path to get to where you will go to. And you will see how my story comes full circle. I moved on into working for an engineering firm that my brother-in-law owned, and then moved on into this company called Skilled Integrated Services as Chief Operating Officer in 2013. Now, at the interview to get into SKLD, talking about preparedness, I was asked a question, have you traveled before? And I boldly said, yes, I have traveled out before. And guess what? I'd only traveled just 30 days before that day. How did I get an opportunity to travel out? I was working for free for a friend of mine, volunteering, and helping him with just management consulting, helping him with projects and all of that. We were still negotiating pay. He would say, I'll pay you this, and then the money will not come. And at some point, he just woke up one day and said, hey, Tayo, I'm going to Dubai for a conference. Do you have a passport? I said, yes, of course, I have a passport, by the grace of God. He said, oh, give me your passport. In 3 days, I had my visa, and I traveled out of the country for free. I mean, I wasn't being paid by this guy, but it took me. That trip was a very interesting trip, by the way. I came back. No, not fatter. I wish it was fatter. I came back. This gentleman, I mean, I respect him so much. He's a very dear friend of mine. But he was into trade. So we went to Dubai after doing the conference and all of that. Then we bought goods and all of that. And when we're going to come back, he said, Tayo, by the way, I didn't tell you, please, do you have a big jacket? I said, yes. He said, you will pack power banks. So I came back looking like this. I was a box of power banks. And guess what? When I saw that, I realized that this is how entrepreneurs think. It's really about maximizing. He gave me a free ticket, but he knew that this guy is a walking cargo. So I came back, and it took 3 days for me to get back to work because my legs were gone. But I would never forget going into an interview and being asked randomly, have you ever traveled out before? And I said, oh, yeah, I have. That was an opportunity, but it was because of moments. And that moment, I don't know if that was the only thing. Of course, I mean, I did a decent job at the interview, but the bottom line is that opportunity gave me my next wave of growth. As I started with SKLD, in about 18 months, I was on my way to China on behalf of the company, and I kept going to China every year for almost 10 years straight. Sometimes I'll do twice, going to China, helping with production and a bunch of other things. Bottom line is I joined that company as a chief operating officer about, let's say, roughly 3 to 5 years down the line. I had become a shareholder and executive director in the company because of the kind of impact I had on the company and the kind of focus I had. I didn't go into the company thinking, oh, they need to pay me my salary, give me perks. Well, all of that was there, but it wasn't my focus. In fact, the first thing I told the guys that I met when I resumed was, I said, in this company, we will cook our meals. If you want to eat, whatever you want to eat, it's a more is about you will cook it. Meaning, we will pay ourselves. We will not come here and be anticipating a salary review that you didn't work for. And that was the attitude, that was the mentality. If you want to be paid $10,000, you will work hard until we get to that point where the cash flow of the company can pay you that. And that attitude created growth in measures that I cannot explain, right? In 2 years, we had doubled our revenue. In 5 years, we hit our first billion. Right now, we're on to over 10 billion as a company, as a local Nigerian company that many of you don't even know anything about. And that is testament to value. For me, BLEP is not a course. It's me. I am BLEP. I'm being serious about it. It's about leadership. Leadership is not an invitation to come and get comfortable. Leadership is an invitation to stretch yourself. And it's not something you do and you drop. You continue to embody leadership as you go. Once I drop the mic and we finish doing some chit-chat here, I'm going straight to a warehouse and I'm going to pull all of this off. And we're going to be looking. I told them I was solving a crisis before I came here. Here we have closed one transaction. I mean, it's not something that we're doing once. We are doing it consistently because that is who we are. And the impact is not a local one. I want to challenge everyone here. The continent needs you. The continent needs you to build. So we didn't do this so that we can come into the room, clap ourselves, excited and all of that, and then you go out there and nothing changes. If your company was doing 10 billion before you joined, the goal should be in the next 5 years, we are a unicorn. We're touching $1 billion. There's no reason why we don't have more of such companies. And the more we have, the more empowered we are as Africans, and the more we can hold our place in the global landscape. And that is the call. So BLEP 2025 July, the charge is go and build. Go and build. Thank you very much.